Kids' cartoons are better than you remember. Hi, I'm Emma. I'm in my 20s and I love kids' cartoons. I wasn't really into cartoons growing up outside of like what my little brother had on the TV until I entered my worst depressive episode ever. And then I started rewatching cartoons from my childhood. Now that I was paying attention to these shows, I found a lot of comfort in the animation style, the silliness of the adventures, but I also was noticing the depth. Everyone jokes about how cartoons like SpongeBob had like so many adult jokes that went right over our heads as kids, which is true, but I'm going to be talking about the deep emotional themes and symbolism weaved throughout these kids shows. Yeah, buckle up because we got another kind of video essay. I made an outline. Look at all that. And I wrote this maybe like a month or two ago, and I haven't revisited it before filming. So we'll see what happens. Like, man, I hope I wrote down some good stuff back then. Let's get started. The first show we're going to be talking about is Over the Garden Wall. Firstly, the animation. So the show was created by Patrick McHale, who is known for his work on Adventure Time, another kids animated cartoon. I actually haven't watched that one though, but I know people love it. Back to Over the Garden Wall. If you've never seen it, it's so beautiful. It's meant to evoke nostalgia because of its old school Americana style. The backgrounds draw inspiration from neutral or monochromatic paintings. When it's mostly warm tones, you feel very comfortable and nostalgic, and when it's mostly cool gray tones, it evokes feelings of unease and dread of the unknown. Some other inspirations were vintage Halloween postcards and photos of New England's foliage. All of this together captures a perfectly nostalgic autumnal feeling. Now let's talk about the story. On the surface, it seems like a silly show about two brothers lost in the woods and the quirky characters they meet on their journey home. But if you look deeper, themes of death, responsibility, and faith are present. It's a really popular theory that you can find online or on Reddit, where people think that like each episode and each different setting represents a different circle of hell, or like it's like Dante's Inferno story where I've never read it. I think Dante's going through like different levels of hell. That's what some people think this show is, but for kids. And I've read the theory and like I don't know, it kind of makes sense. Or other people think that the woods are like a type of purgatory, and I mean either theory would obviously give a much deeper meaning to the show. The reason these theories are possible is because the show is so good. Every time I watch it, I catch something new, and I rewatch it at least once a year, every single fall. I actually rewatched it last weekend, because I have the DVD. Yeah, I have the DVD. Even when I watched without knowing the theories, it was still such a satisfying mystery, and it had such a sweet sibling bond and a big emotional payoff by the end. Finally, you might be wondering, okay, so like those are the facts, but why do you love it? Here's why I love it. I watched it when it was airing on Cartoon Network on cable television. As a teen watching it, I was so surprised by the ending. It was probably one of the first shows where I was like kind of blindsided and almost like I knew there was something more to the story. And everything I talked about, like the art style and the theories, like you can feel while you watch without being aware of them. You don't have to know the theories about the plot or all the history of the art style to feel what the creators want you to feel by using those things. Does that make sense? It's beloved because the art style and the story and the fan theories and the music and everything combined make the viewers feel and that's why it's a modern day classic. And it's like a mini series. I think there's like 8 or 10 episodes, and they're each only like 15 minutes because it was originally on Cartoon Network. It's just so impressive. I hope that is getting across. Like, this is one of my favorite shows. Like, zero complaints. I think it's perfect. I love just like listening straight through the soundtrack because it's so good. And actually, fun fact, because you can buy the DVD, like I bought it last year. On the DVD, there's it's like you know how they have like director's cuts of movies? They have a composer's cut of Over the Garden Wall. And so there's no sound effects and there's no dialogue, and it's just the soundtrack over the animated show. So peaceful, so beautiful, and it's so you can hear like the little changes in the soundtrack, and you can hear like when certain characters come on screen, and then like their motif is playing in the background. Ooh, I love it. I know some of you might not be celebrating fall yet. I am. I've been celebrating it since July, but now is the perfect time, truly, to watch Over the Garden Wall. If you haven't ever seen it, like you really, really should see it. It's very good. Really makes you think. It's so good, but I won't say anything else. You have to just like go in blind and go on the journey. Okay, the next show, Steven Universe.
Life and death and love and birth and peace and war on the planet Earth. Is there anything that's worth more than peace and love on the planet Earth? Whoa, come on and sing it with me.
Sing?
The words relate to the key.
Key?
If it's a pattern, then just repeat after me. Life and death and love and birth.
Life and death and love and birth.
Now you sing me, fa, mi, ti, la. And peace and war on the planet Earth.
If you clicked on this video, you probably saw this one coming. Another Cartoon Network show, Steven Universe is known for being beautifully animated. When I said Steven Universe, you probably like thought of the animation. This was another one that I watched while it was airing on cable TV, Cartoon Network, channel 63. And I didn't care about animation at the time. Again, like my brother was just always watching Cartoon Network in the living room, and there was like no wall separating the living room from the kitchen. So I would be sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, and my brother would be watching Steven Universe, and I'd look at it and I'd be like, wow, that's really pretty. Wow, I really like the music. Like, I didn't know what was going on with the story, but I knew I felt calm. And that's like a core memory for me, because Steven Universe would come on like later at night on Cartoon Network, and I would be like on the brink of delusions, like doing my homework at like 11 p.m. and Steven Universe would come on, and I'd be like, man, it's okay. Like, this is like late night. Steven Universe is on the TV, and I just feel like so calm. I don't know. That's a core memory for some reason. The creator of the show, Rebecca Sugar, said she wanted to, quote, keep the art style flexible and simple. Technically, this was so like different people could animate like the different scenes, and like they didn't have to be perfectly exact like when everyone was doing them. But I feel like that also comes across in like the vibe of the show, like very simple and flexible animation from scene to scene. The colors are very pastel, so it gives a very magical and otherworldly feeling to a lot of the episodes. The outdoor scenes are very bright, and the story really lends itself to this art style, like very abstract and magical. There are adventures with magical beings, trips to ancient ruins and caves, and glimpses into space travel and other worlds. Now for the story. The show presents itself as villain of the week, following a young boy who discovers he has magical powers, and he's living with his dad and 3 magical beings who are teaching him how to use these powers. Within that, there is immense character growth, as well as introductions to a lot of new characters who end up becoming pivotal to the story as it goes on. Another thing that makes this story like not your average kids show is that it covers a lot of topics and themes that are rarely found in kids shows even today in 2025. Most of these are portrayed through metaphors, but it tackles queerness, trauma, self-identity, forgiveness, interpersonal relationships, and war, question mark. Okay, so those are the facts, but why do I like it as an adult? Well, I liked it as a teen. When I was watching it as a teen, I thought it was pretty and peaceful. And if I'm being honest, I really want to do a full rewatch because, like, as an adult, I've watched like season 1. I've seen like episodes, but I haven't rewatched the entire show start to finish recently. And it's on my list to do because it is one of those kid shows that I love. It starts out so simple and silly and over time grows into this really complex moving story, but it still remains like so pretty. Okay, guys, I've talked about this next one before, but I need to talk about it again. Infinity Train. I love this show. Someone put it back on streaming or let me buy it. Please, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. Physically, though, I want a physical copy because I know that you're just going to take it off whatever platform it's on again. Okay, let's talk about the animation. The show was created by Owen Dennis, who worked on the Cartoon Network show Regular Show. Fun fact, the animation for Infinity Train was actually done by a studio in Seoul, South Korea, and they use traditional animation methods. The colors are very bright and make the viewer feel very alert and awake, which works because the setting is very futuristic and mechanic. We're on a train with robots. I would say it feels more steampunk than magical, but it's still very fantastical. Such big words. Unlike the past 2 shows, this show is very focused on overcoming physical and mental challenges, and it's full of action. I think the bright colors and the mechanic feel really work for the show. I love it. Okay, the story. Owen Dennis, the guy who made it, said that this show is like Saw for kids. That's crazy, but I kind of get it. Each season is based on machinery. Like I said, we're on a train. The characters have to overcome a new obstacle in each train car that they travel to. And the train cars are designed to help the characters overcome personal issues and appreciate life. Each season focuses on a different character and therefore focuses on a different issue. Some of these are grief, acceptance, self-discovery. Could have been more if it wasn't canceled. The show is using the train as a metaphor for personal growth. It has a darker tone than most kid shows, and even though it was critically praised and loved by audiences, it was ultimately canceled. The owners at the time, Warner Brothers Discovery, canceled the show for not having a child entry point. An overall cut to their animation budgets. So the thing that made it so good and made it stand out from other kid shows was ultimately the thing that got it canceled. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so those are the facts. Why do I love it? I'll tell you. The premise seems simple. An emotionally struggling teen finds the train at a low point and has to progress through train cars, facing physical and mental challenges to eventually be able to leave the train. You will never believe it, but I watched this when I was at a low point, and I really could have used a train to help me through my mental struggles. I'm probably a little bit trauma bonded to it, actually. I just love the concept of leaving this world. Period. No, I love the concept of leaving this world to enter another and then coming out on the other side changed. I love it. I love a magical journey that is a metaphor for self-growth. Love it. Eat it up. And that's what I wanted at the time because I didn't know how to deal with what I was going through. It does show the viewer that even though it feels impossible, you can work through what you're going through. This isn't in my script, but I was taking a creative writing class at the time, and for my final project, I had to do a full short story. And here's what it was. Okay, it was a young girl who, oh my gosh, gets picked up by a magical taxi cab with two wacky characters, and they take her on this magical journey, and then she like works through what she's going through, and then they drop her back off at the curb they picked her up at. And she's stronger for it. Does that sound familiar to you guys? I should go back and look at that. On one hand, I have like no confidence in anything I do, but on the other hand, I think everything I do is amazing. I've been writing short stories my whole life, and sometimes I go back through, I like look up my Wattpad and I like read the stories that I wrote, and I'm like, man, this was good. Like I should finish this. The people are waiting for the update post. Okay, back to the topic of this video. The next show, Wander Over Yonder. This was one of my favorite, like, background calming comfort shows to watch as a teen on cable. And then they came out with Disney Plus, and I was like, perfect, I can watch this whenever I want. Except they didn't put it on Disney Plus. I've been waiting. It is on Disney Plus now. Okay, let's talk animation style. This show is created by Craig McCracken. What a name. Get this. He was the art director behind Dexter's Laboratory and the creator of The Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. And this is the guy who created Wander Over Yonder. Of course it's going to be good. Each episode is set in a new location, so when it came to the art style, he wanted each episode to feel like an entirely new place. It's very much like turn of the century and fantasy. And on the technical side, they use digital puppets with hand-drawn elements. And I love hand-drawn elements or hand-drawn backgrounds, or better yet, all hand-drawn animation. Okay, let's get into the story. There's some drama here. Okay, to quote Craig McCracken, the creator, he said, "The show is not designed to be educational. It's more pure entertainment and humor. We've made Wander the real nice guy who always finishes first. With the villain, Lord Hater, the goal isn't for good to overcome evil, but to enjoy watching the bad guy fail." Okay, so that seems pretty straightforward, pretty simple, pretty silly. However, when they finished the first season, more animated shows were being allowed by their networks to take a more serial approach, which means instead of, each episode being its own contained story, so you don't have to watch the show in any order, the network can, like Phineas and Ferb, like the network can just air any episodes it wants, and like you can just watch them because they're contained within the episode. There's not like a season or series long plot that is like weaving the episodes in a specific order. So when they started out, they just wanted to be like more episodic, but by the time the first season was over, networks were allowing their shows to be more serial, and Wander Over Yonder was like, hey, it would be awesome if we could do what they're doing. So they asked to take a more serial turn. Disney said no, but a compromise was reached. They were allowed a continuity thread that was in 4 22-minute episodes. And then there would be 11-minute episodes scattered throughout that were kind of related to the arc, but like they could be watched at any point. The show was then canceled. So the last thing I'll say about the story is that despite its cartoonish exterior and the lack of a season-long story, the show still covers interesting topics like optimism versus cynicism, found family, and redemption. So why do I like it? Nostalgia mainly. Again, like most of these shows, I have a core memory doing my homework at the kitchen table and this on the TV in the background. Ironically, Disney's decision to keep each episode as a silly standalone to encourage repeat viewings is what has kept me from watching the show again. That and the fact that it wasn't available anywhere before this last year. I do plan on rewatching all the episodes again now that it's on Disney Plus, and I'm curious to see how it stands up against the test of time, and also how it stands up against like some of the really good animated shows that I've watched in the last 5 years. Okay, last and certainly not least, another show that I've talked about on here before, but I just can't shut up about it. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. We're on the edge of greatness, turning dark Okay, let's talk animation style. Showrunner Noelle Stevenson, who coincidentally worked on Wander Over Yonder, everyone in the industry is connected, says she drew a lot from 70s and 80s sci-fi art like Mobius and Roger Dean to really capture that feeling of an epic, campy fantasy. If you didn't know, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power is like an old show, I think. I'm talking about like the 2017 DreamWorks animation version that's on Netflix, but all of the character designs were updated to feel more modern and realistic. The trained fighters had muscles. The women present were all different ages, and it showed that visually through different body types. It's under DreamWorks Animation, and everything was 2D hand drawn, except for some CG for like the complex machinery in the show. I love it. It looks so good. Okay, so the story. What's it about? Well, it's like Avatar, but with girls and different world building. No, seriously. I was really getting Avatar vibes the last time I watched this, and I told my friend who loves Avatar to watch this show, and I don't think he did. But then when I was doing research for this video, a quote from Noelle Stevenson, the creator of the show, she said, "I watched Avatar when I was in college, and I think it is an incredible influence because it also is a serialized show and very heavy on mythology." Okay, so like I'm not crazy for seeing the similarities. It's like chosen one, small group of people, these crazy like elemental abilities, and like this one bad guy, and some of the people on the bad guy side turn to the good side. Like it's just giving Avatar in the best way. This is one of those stories that really develops over time, and I've talked about it more in another video, which I will link because I love it, but it was one of like the first YouTube videos I ever posted, so I think it only has like 60 views, and they're probably like all from me because I love that video and I rewatch it a lot. But to generalize it for this video, the Princess She-Ra has magical powers, and we're on a planet where each of the princesses of the different regions also have powers. But the planet is being conquered by an evil alien villain and his horde that harness technology to fight against the princesses. Like it's one giant war. The show tackles themes of identity, betrayal, found family, queer themes, cycles of abuse, and it's all handled really well. This is really special because strong internal arcs like Adora and Catra aren't really found in animated shows, especially Western animated shows. The show is mainly female main characters, which is great because then they can each have their own arcs that develop in their own time. They don't have the burden of being like the only female main character, and so they don't have to be perfect. They can have flaws and they can grow and they can change. So why do I love it? Why have I rewatched it 3 times? This was another show that I watched in a depressive episode. It was just exactly what I needed. The art style and the setting were just magical enough to transport me out of this world and drop me onto the planet of Etheria. I was really surprised by how fleshed out the world building and all of the characters were, just by looking at the show, like even though I like the animation, like you see the show and you see that it's DreamWorks and you see the title and you just think it's gonna be like a fun silly show, but it goes, the point of this video, it goes so much deeper and everything is really fleshed out and the story is really so good. And I wasn't expecting it. I just think it's the perfect balance of silly and serious, which is great if you want to escape into a fantasy world but still want to be grounded by realistic character struggles. I probably talk about kids' cartoons way too much, but if I don't, who will? I've said it before, but kids' shows are made by adults, so adult themes are bound to slip in there. And I think it's those themes, even if they're barely there, that make some of these cartoons so universally loved by all ages. That's why you can watch a show when you're a kid and love it, and then watch it again when you're an adult and love it even more because you're seeing all the things that you missed as a kid. I think the stigma around cartoons and animated shows in general is falling away. Or it might just be that I'm in my 20s and they say when you're in your 20s, you go back to everything you loved as a kid, only now you're not embarrassed of it. I feel like anime is so popular right now. They show like anime movies in my local movie theater. If you watched anime when I was in high school, you were the weird kid. Like, people looked down on you for watching anime. I wasn't telling people that I was watching Attack on Titan. That was like a close guarded secret. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, like this video if you liked it. Leave a comment about something if you want to. Or comment your favorite animated show because I would love to know. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!